Warning: this game contains scary imagery, intense gore, sexual content, and disturbing visuals. Believe me, all of that is an understatement, so, essentially, viewer discretion is heavily advised. The censored version will be in the description below. Autumn is always a bittersweet time for me. Beautiful, but melancholy. The air is crisp and tender. The dead leaves fall and quickly gather as they cover the streets. Some people know the season for trick-or-treating and pumpkin lattes, but I know it as the time when unseen monsters show themselves in order to feast. Around that time, I met one of my best friends, Zeke Bolden. He showed me that there are things in this world that no normal man should ever witness, and how to stop them. A few days ago, he simply vanished without a trace and didn't even say goodbye. Once Threefer left and never came home, we started to assume the worst. Zeke and Gary went off to rescue him, but they had arrived too late. Gary said that he found the house where Threefer was kidnapped and killed. Against my better judgment, I should look around before the police start taping it up. Maybe then, I will get a better understanding about what happened here. There's gotta be a way in. A lot of good this guy did protecting the chickens. Was something broken in this room? There's blood everywhere. Oh god, I hope Zeke's okay. Oh, that smell! Oh god, Threefer!
Another rat caught in the master's maze.
Oh, where am I? Oh. Oh crap, someone's coming.
Put the sword down, MCrewDude. Was that your best shot? Let me show you mine. Actually, I have a better torment for you to endure. One of a psychological nature. Go to the computer and launch House of Velez. Overcome the trials and I will let you leave.
Okay, I do like a good game, but I should at least talk about the developer first.
Very well, but you'll need this. No mutant keyboard fingering here.
This game was developed by Larry Childress of Darkroom Games, an independent game developer whose only other notable work is Grave Prosperity, which is a Silent Hill-ish, Resident Evil-ish game that went through multiple redesigns before its final release. His studio was originally called LDC Studios, and the first creation of the game was called Grave Prosperity Carnage, which was made using the RPG Maker XP engine in 2012. To put it simply, the game looked like...
crispy fried shit.
Sure. I haven't played the original make of the game, but based on the YouTube videos I've seen, the controls looked very stiff and the visibility was really bad, So the developer remade the game in 2015 on Steam called Grave Prosperity Redux, which also reviewed poorly, so he ended up removing the game due to the negative backlash, but he still did not want to abandon the project. That's actually quite admirable that he wanted to perfect this game into something great to reflect his vision, rather than just giving up on it and moving on. He eventually released the final version of the game in 2018 on Steam made with Construct 2, and, well, it's alright. The controls are responsive, but the combat is frustrating and unfair. Fighting off spindly gray scavengers with a machete should be fun, until you blink and next thing you know they teleport behind you and claw your spine out. The game is also prone to some glitches, gameplay issues, and it doesn't always save progress very well, so the game was met with a mixed response. But hey, that's not bad, and there's even a part 2 in development. Last I checked, the developer is now working on a whole new build of the game made with Unreal Engine 4, and it looks pretty cool with 3D backgrounds and fixed camera angles just like early Resident Evil or the Dark Pictures anthology. Around the same time, he began working on House of Velez, a 2-part horror game which features a lot of the same assets and level designs, as well as a new story which I believe is canon in the same universe. House of Velez was created with Construct 2 once again, and it looks pretty good with a 90s style appearance. This doesn't strike me as a bad thing, because the game is very committed to its presentation. The story begins as our main character, Lily Velez, returns to her father's estate to uncover the mystery behind his disappearance after some kind of scandal within his own company. Lily is voiced phenomenally well by Sandra Espinosa, who voices every other female character in the game, as well as Amber Ridge from Grave Prosperity. So she arrives at the mansion to find the power off and the door locked, so we need to walk to the shed in order to get the power going. Controlling Lily is pretty good, and while her animations are a bit stiff and odd at times, I can tell that some effort went into making it look good. The way that her breath can be seen as she stands out in the snow is also a nice touch, even if she is unfazed by the fact that she's wearing stockings and high heels. So our first task is starting the generator, and whenever we are presented with a puzzle, you can hold down the select button on the controller to get a tutorial. Unfortunately, this generator puzzle is easy if you know what to do, but annoying if you have no clue. All you have to do is hold down RT and then release it when the point is in the red. I actually prefer the style used in Alan Wake when you have to turn on generators because it was much more intuitive. And I swear I wish I had $1 for every time I've referenced Alan Wake in my videos. Once you are inside the house, you could head off to the study right away, but let's take a moment to explore the place. Getting around is actually a little bit difficult as the game is a side-scroller. You press A to interact with objects and open doors to new areas, but sometimes you will need to press an arrow key to go somewhere new. And this can get really confusing when trying to remember where you've already been. Sometimes these arrows appear by a door, so sometimes I have trouble determining which door leads where and how to navigate. If you go up the main stairs, you can explore Lily's room and even play a video game called Pingo. When you are finally ready to enter the study, this is where we come to a point of no return and find a strange device littered with chains and skulls that Lily decides to investigate. Now that we've found the artifact, we can...
Christ!
This is where we start the game.
Lily then wakes up in just her bra and skirt with chains around her wrists and a wound on her abdomen. Never a good sign.
I hope there's nothing missing. I don't feel any different.
Rest assured, nothing was removed.
What the hell? Why are baby dolls always so damn creepy? We are introduced to the game's stealth mechanics when she hears someone return for her. The man enters and, "Aw, piss, I need to hide."
Come to daddy. We have much to discuss. Hold still, Lillian. Just lonely but for a moment.
Holy crap! Now might also be a good time to emphasize that this game does not hold back when it comes to gore. It is also important to save regularly as there is no autosave and you will die a lot. The pause menu doubles as Lily's journal, where you can save and view current objectives, so you can only use it when Lily is not near an enemy. Okay, let's try that again. So you hold down the X button to run, and press A when you are near a hiding place to hide. While crouching or hiding, you can hold down the Y button to listen and see your enemy's detection radius. You also have a detection range where enemies can hear you. Running is louder than walking, and you can also hold down B while moving in order to sneak. Once you leave the room after getting attacked by some evil hand, you'll automatically collect a journal entry that serves as a tutorial on how to survive enemy encounters. It's surprisingly kind of complicated, but it is essential to playing the game. Okay, so here's how it works. You hold down LT to crouch, Y to enter focus mode, B to bring up the heart gauge meter, and then further tap RT to keep the focus meter in place. This is the only way to stay invisible to the monsters, and yeah, it takes a lot of practice and patience to finally get used to. In the same room, we also notice a grandfather clock stuck at 3:55 p.m. They say a broken clock is right twice, but this one is right only once.
Or maybe it's right all the time.
Okay, cool, so I won't feel weird if I start craving a beer. Moving forward, things really start to get intense. There's chains on this one door along with a headless doll, and the open door opposite leads to a room with bloody writing on the walls and a scary-looking mannequin that is wearing Lily's clothes.
Mannequins are always scary. The way their featureless faces watch you from afar. You can't tell if they can see you or not. They stalk you and judge you from their comfortable space. Their smooth physique encapsulates perfect beauty that others desire. Do they want to be flawless? Only man can create an inorganic shell of bodily perfection in his own mind. Maybe they want to become you as much as you want to become them.
Oh, I always thought they were sexy. You know how when you're 14 and you just think, you know, when the lights go out, I could just make out with all the store mannequins. Some of them even have nipples. Have you noticed that?
Silence!
We are also introduced to the lockpicking at this time, and all you'll need to do is use the right stick to move the pin, and the left to apply pressure to the lock. If you've played Fallout, then it's pretty much the same, but a lot more sensitive. After that, we come across our first real enemy encounter, and this is where we put the heartbeat mechanic to the test. The stalking mannequin will chase after you whenever the lights go out, so with careful timing and patience, you will unlock the door on the other end of the hall and come to a safe. I have to admit that the puzzle designs in this game are pretty clever. This one isn't too difficult. You tune the radio to a specific channel that is etched in the safe itself. The one clue that stands out is when the man on the radio says, "a military time." Assuming you followed my advice and looked at the clock earlier, you would remember 3:55 p.m., which is 15:55 in military time. Using this as a combination, you will find the head of a stone baby. If you were foolish enough to ignore the clock and put in random numbers, this will happen to you.
In these turbulent moments, we must look to the time of our forefathers. Discipline It was a different time. It was a military time.
Aw, hell, it's that mannequin again. This part is actually very tricky because the area is so small, and the mannequin can run very fast even though she walks as slow as a wounded seal.
You can't leave. I haven't shown you my toys yet. Come play with us, Lily.
Nope, so much nope! Run the hell away is the best strategy, and press a few QTEs. Alright, and whoa, what the hell? Oh my god! What? Oh, okay. It looks like I just found an exploit. You can't catch me now, you creepy-ass friggin' baby head bastards. Oh, so I guess Larry thought of that too, huh?
The Wonder Boner. My wife would like that.
Okay, so after we escape the stalking mannequin, we encounter the man again. It's very clear that this is Lily's father, Victor, who has gone insane from being trapped inside this nightmare and is hell-bent on killing Lily in exchange for his own freedom. One small issue I have with this game is that the characters don't really emote very well. Lily was nearly hacked to death by her own father before watching him die, and she hardly reacts to it. No confusion, shock, or anything to make us feel for her. I mean, she's scared, but who wouldn't be? So we use the creepy-ass baby head on the door in order to reach the end of the game.
Dad, why? Why? I just want to wake up. I just want to go home.
That was quite horrifying, and I do congratulate it on its imagery and use of tension to create effective scares instead of relying on jump startles. I don't mind the slower build-up, because you could explore the house at your leisure or just head off to the study right away. There are a few difficult moments due to the game's design, but it was actually pretty good. There, now I did what you asked, so let me leave.
Oh no, that was only part 1. There's a second part you need to play, sold separately as DLC. The worst is yet to come.
How?
How what?
How could it get worse? To answer my own question, the chapter starts with a warning about graphic sexual violence. You have the option to play the censored mode if you are sensitive to that kind of content, but to be honest, it doesn't really do anything except shorten a few scenes. Just so you know, I will be playing on default mode. Okay, so part 2 picks up right after part 1, and we'll need to descend deeper into the house. In order to progress to the next stage, you will need to solve 3 different puzzles, each with a creative style while keeping with the theme. I won't spoil what they all are, but if you fail, you will die a horrible death.
The reach immediately for my guts. My brain. The first. Every time.
Did I mention save often? Once you overcome that, you are forced into what is easily the hardest part of the game. You enter an elevator room while the door behind you gets caked in diarrhea to prevent you from leaving, trapping you with a 2-headed monstrosity that is bent on consuming your skin.
Whoa! This girl's copping a feel here, huh? Hey, you want a little feel? Oh God, no!
This son of a bitch has a very wide detection radius, and each time it screams, it will activate spike traps, so make sure you are never on top of one. Luckily, the focus will show you the location of all potential traps and hazards. Once you get to the other end of the hall, you can call the elevator, hide from the monster when it comes investigating, pry open the doors while keeping away from the spike trap and the monster when it comes back. After you open the elevator, you have to hide from it with the heart gauge meter, which just sort of comes out of nowhere. I probably died at least 20 times during this part. After that, we meet a character who considers herself an artist and serves as one of the game's antagonists. She has a thing for creating horrifying forms of body art and depicting scenes from Lily's past. We actually get a bit of direct character development this way, as we learn that Lily once attempted suicide and was encouraged to seek therapy but was instead raped by her therapist, causing serious psychological damage. Good lord! The artist character is actually kind of interesting, and she reminds me of Stefano Valentini from The Evil Within 2, a man who photographed a soldier at the exact moment he was killed by an explosion that also blinded him in one eye. This experience damaged him mentally, so he became enthralled with the exact moment of a person's death to a point where he created an art form around it. The artist doesn't have any development like that, but she is still pretty interesting for what little screen time she has. Lily then has to make her way through her bloody gallery while avoiding her wandering props who will murder you right away. You have to hide among the crates to survive, as the heartbeat gauge won't work here for some reason. In the next room of this hell, we face something that nothing could have prepared me for!
Do not let that thing touch you.
You think? I'm pleasantly surprised that this sequence is not controlled by QTEs, proving that you do not need them to build tension. At this point, you will progress through the final part of the game, and this area will look familiar if you play Grave Prosperity. After solving a few puzzles, collecting some keys, and avoiding some blood-bending wheelchair skeletons, we finally reach the end of the game. There are 2 different endings to the story, and they are based on how many journal pages you found. There are 8 total, and while they aren't too hard to find, well, I won't give too much away, so I'll just say that you can find all of them before you encounter the elevator monster, if that helps narrow down the search. In the bad ending, Lily returns to the real world only to be killed by something, I don't know. Assuming you got the good ending, we find a nude model of Lily that we have to tear open and remove another creepy baby head, followed by the game's only real jump scare. We then find Victor's nude corpse with a machete protruding from it, which of course Lily doesn't seem torn up over. Now, could this be the same machete and scene from Grave Prosperity? I would say it's very likely. We do get to learn more about the story as Victor got himself involved in this demonic world, and the eye from earlier has been surgically implanted in Lily's abdomen, which she has to tear out very graphically, which I guess traps Victor in this hell in exchange for her freedom. When she returns to the real world, she collapses from blood loss and hospitalized but still survives. We also see that Victor left a final journal entry as one last gift for Lily, emphasizing his regret and disappointment while still expressing his love for Lily. 1 week later, we find that she was pregnant? That adds a whole new layer of WTF. Now that's the end of the game, and I have to say that for a game made by one dude over the course of a couple years, it's actually pretty good, and a lot better than his previous game. The atmosphere is terrifying and full of scary imagery. The gameplay is fun, and although I was against the heartbeat mechanic at first, it actually put me on the edge of my seat as I held my breath out of fear. Lily can't fight these creatures, forcing you to hide and avoid them, making you feel vulnerable and defenseless in a hostile world. The game pulls this off so successfully, I actually wish more AAA games knew how to do this. Also, the animations and use of sound effects is very effective and well done. Yeah, the several ways that Lily can die are agonizingly graphic and intense, making this one of the most horrifying games I've played in recent years. The only problems that I encountered personally are that sometimes the save function doesn't always work properly, and for whatever reason, I had a very difficult time launching the game. Some of the minor issues I have are that the characters are underdeveloped, as Lily doesn't have too much personality, and Victor could have been introduced better. I was hoping for him to have a bit more humanity behind his actions, making him more intimidating, and the only way we see any emotion from him is in the final letter given to Lily. The plot does have a few issues, and while some things start to make sense if you collect the journals, there are still so many things that could have been better explained. For example, in the mansion, Lily mentions a sewage smell, but that is never referenced again, even though the developer tries to play it off like it has a deeper meaning. I'm guessing that the overall theme of this game is the fear of abandonment, or some kind of message about abortion, but besides that, I don't really see a major theme. The trailer tries to emphasize the fear of captivity, agony, and death, but there is not much translation of any of that, even though I'm sure the developer intended to get that message across. I still found a great deal of enjoyment out of it, and if Darkroom Games continues to work on these projects, then I'm sure the storylines will develop into something even greater. This game is not for the faint of heart, but if you want something different that'll give you a good scary time, then I would recommend it.
You actually liked it? You were supposed to suffer the same way Lily does. The death scenes in this game are better than the way you described. I will force you to witness the top 10 most horrifying deaths in this game. Number 10, the forceful choke. Number 9, blow your mind. Number 8, red light, green light.
Come play with us. I want your skin. Oh, so pretty. Blow it away. Leave nothing left.
Number 7, the jagged edge.
I want your skin.
Number 6, the barber shop. Number 5, the metaphor for pregnancy. Number 4, eating for 2. Number 3, the facelift. Number 2, the C-section. And the number 1 most horrifying death that the game actually warns you about is the fingering.
know what I love more than art? Irony. Yes. Sweet irony. And do you know what I find most ironic of all? How the most beautiful act of nature, the most precious gift your God has to offer, can call forth the most vile, twisted, destructive things into existence. A sick design constructed by a madman. I absolutely love it. To capture such a thing in all its glory. Oh, that thought alone makes me quiver. That is why I fucked the art into you, Lily. Because I want to see what comes back out. To capture the ultimate irony in the making. And have that moment forever kept in frame. I already have a name for this piece. Would you like to hear it? The Scavenger. You will come to appreciate it, my dear.
Now, I'm gonna leave the room now, as I have just shit myself again.
Please, just let me go. I did what you asked. I'm sorry for trespassing, but come on, dude, just let me go.
It's a shame your review ends right here.
No!
I am impressed by your resistance. I can tell you have a strong heart. Whatever weaknesses you had in the past, you managed to overcome. You have survived my last trial. Your friend Zeke is living a life of solitude away from New England. He is happy and he still remembers who his friends are.
Where is he?
Even if I knew exactly, I would not say. Sometimes it is best to let someone go to figure things out for themselves, if you care that much about them.
What have you done to Threefer?
The Master needed a hapless soul to experiment with, but had no true knowledge of the dark arts, so he ended up committing a senseless murder. My condolences for your loss, for what it's worth. Before you leave, let me give you a piece of advice. We all make choices, good or bad. We need to make mistakes to learn from them. Some people will only see the worst, but just remember that if everything were flawless and well received, that life would be bleak and a stagnant existence. Leave this place and never come back.